Okay, good morning. We're up to Zion Amid Aleph. Zion Amid Aleph, about a quarter of the way down to Das Itmar, parallel to the Tosfos Dilma. So we've been discussing the sugyas of Shini Kodesh and Shini Balim, which is kosher, Ela Shloi Olam Mam Shem Chovo, with the exception of Chatas and the Pesach, they're not Oila. That was two things we discussed. Okay, so continuing that discussion, the Gemara is it's a little dakistic today. The Gemara is a little dakistic today. We'll try to do the best we can. So starting from the two dots, Itmar, Toida sheshachta l'shem toidas chaveroi. Now, literally, you would think that it's a toida that's geshachtin for the name of another person. So that would be a classic shinu bailam. Here I am. I'm bringing a carbon toida. Reuven's bringing a carbon toida. Shimon's bringing a carbon toida. That would be shinu bailam. So Rabba am kshera, Rav Chisda am psula. Now, Rabba says kshera means it's totally kosher. Rav Chisda says psula means it's loy oila lebailam l'shem chayva. Guys, very important. Kosher means in Gansin. Psula means our Mishnah that what the carbon itself is good, but loy oila b'shem chayva. Now, if it's a case of shinu bailim, how could Rabba go ahead and say it's kshera? Guys, if it's shinu bailim, how could Rabba say it's kshera? Ella, it's not mamish what you thought. What it is the following. Reuven and Shimon were both bringing chatas. Reuven was a toida. Reuven's bringing a toida because he made it out of the sea. Shimon's bringing a chatas because he recovered from a sickness. In mind, the Kohen has in mind Shimon's reason, but they're both for Reuven. You hear? It's not Shini Bailan because they're both for Reuven. It's just he's shechting it for the reason of Shimon. So now it's a shaila of Shinu Kodesh. Is that considered Shinu Kodesh or not, guys? You hear the case? Again, if it's Mama Shinu Bailim, Rabba can't say it's Kshera. It's not possible. He can't say it's Kshera because after all, it would be the classic Mishnah of the carbon's good v'layoila. Here you're saying it's oila completely, correct? So Mamela, this is the way Rashi learns Pshat. It's always l'shem Ruvain, but it's for the Siba of Shimon. It's always l'shem Ruvain, but it's what for Shimon's reason. That's the svara over here. Okay. So one more time, look covered my shvaga. You have a toida. You're shechting a toida for Ruvain. The Kohen is shechting the toida of Ruvain for Shimon's reason, but it's always for Ruvain. It's for Shimon's reason, but it's always for Ruvain. So, what's the question? Rabba Amksheret and Rabba Chasim Psula. Rabba Amkshera toida l'shem toida nishkata. It was the same toida. I was for different reasons. It's the same toida. It's a totally kosher carbon, meaning Ruvain's yotzis chiyav, guys. Ruvain be yotzis chiyav. Rav Chisda Amar psula. Psula again. What does psula mean? That it's the carbon's kosher, but Ruvain's gonna have to bring another carbon because l'shum shlomim didei nishchata reinan. You need it for him, and it's not him. Amar Rabba mino aminala. So how do I know it's kosher? The Tanya who b'sar zevach toida shlomav, right? B'yom hikrivu es zivcho, right? So it's mashma. It's shlomav. It's mashma his and not his friends. Mashma is his, is not his friends. So now, but he wants it kshera. So therefore, so what's pshat over here? What's pshat over here? So Rab is giving his reason why it's kosher, right? It says Mishum Rebbe Eliezer, Toida Shlamov. When it says Toidas Shlamov, Hainu Toida Shel Shlamim. V'zeh Balalamed, Toida Sheshachta L'Shem Shlamim Kshera. It comes to say that a Toida that's Shechta L'Shem Shlamim is kosher. However, Shlamim Shenisklu L'Shem Toida B'sula. So, a Toida for Shlamim works. A Shlamim for a Toida doesn't work. We had this before. Uma Hafish, what's the difference? Ben Zel Lezeh. Toida Kruya Shlamim, Ben Shlamim Kruya Toida. A toida is called a shlamim, therefore it's good if you shech the l'shem shlamim. But a shlamim that you shech the l'shem toida, right? Now, what does Rabbi want to prove from here? Shlamim l'shem toida b'sula, and here's the diak. Ha toida l'shem toida kshera. My lav the chavre. Again, guys, a shlamim l'shem toida is out. A toida the shem shlamim is in. A toida l'shem shlomim is in. What about a toida l'shem toida? It works. Toida l'shem toida. In other words, a shlomim l'shem toida doesn't work. A toida l'shem toida does work. And who's he shechting it for? His friend. Because he's shechting for himself. What's the chiddush? A toida l'shem toida. Does, right? That it is. So it must be he's shechting it what? For his friend. It must be that what? That he's shechting it for his friend. That's the diak the Gemara wants to make. And that's how Rabbi knows this din, that a toida, the shal toida of his friend, even though it's for a different reason, nonetheless, it's not shinoi kodesh. It's not shinoi kodesh, because ultimately it's Ruvain for Shimon's reason. And therefore, what it would be kasha. That's the diak of Rava. Says Gemara loy didei. It's not him, but it's not.
I have one question.
Yeah.
Why can't you say that he did it mitam shlichus, shlich shaladam kamaisai?
What shlichus over
here? He's bringing the carbon for his friend, but he's out mitam shlichus.
Again, it's his.
It's a taida.
No, but he's bringing it for. It's not speaking where his friend was mamana mishliach. The case is speaking where we know what the case is. He brought a carbon for himself. And the
now I understand.
Which, we have a case over here.
I thought he's bringing for his friend. That's okay.
Question what the case is, Yudi. We know what the case is. We're trying to figure out an inference. What would it didn't be in such a case? But again, we know what the case is. Good.
Okay.
So now, you're telling me that loy. It doesn't mean what? It doesn't mean his friend, but it's for himself, right? It means that what I guess he's shechting it for himself. What does Rashi say over here? Which Dibra Masel do I want? No. Kshera Pasula, no. The Shem Shlomim Didei Be'inin, no. Okay, Didei. Right before it gets wide, guys. Loi Didei. So now what's the Chiddush? Fellas, if a Toida is bringing L'Shem Toida Didei, what's your Chiddush? Yes? You guys are here. Ruvain goes to the Kohen, tells the Kohen to bring his Toida. The Kohen brings the Toida, but he's bringing it for him, for Ruvain. Does, right? No. Says Rashi, he's not bringing it for the reason. Meaning, I bought the carbon. Why? Because I survived the desert. The Kohen's bringing the carbon because why? He thought I got sick. So he's bringing the Toida, but for a different reason. There's 4 reasons to bring a Toida, right? There's 4 reasons. Right? There's 4 reasons. So it's my Toida. He's bringing it for me, Abba, for a different reason. So the Chiddush is, even though it's a different reason, it's not considered Shinu Kodesh. Even though it's a different reason, it's not Shinu Kodesh. That's what. But you have no Raya, guys, for Shimon. In other words, for me, the different reason, you do have a Raya. For my carbon, for me, as a result of Shimon's reason, I don't have a Raya. That's what we want to bring. Rabbi's Raya is Ruvain for Shimon's reason. Rabbi's Raya is Ruvain for Shimon's reason. Okay? Aval dechavrei mai psula. Now, guys, we always have, remember, I always told you, if you can tell me the Chiddush in one place, you don't go ahead and create a new place. We always say, take that case. And okay, so now, what are you telling me? You're telling me Toida l'shem Toida of yourself is no good. Is of your friend is no good, but yourself is good. So why do you have to go to the case of Shlom l'shem Toida? You could have told me the bigger Chiddush, Toida l'shem Toida, for your friend is no good. Again, Shlom l'shem Toida is no good. Mashma what? That's what the case you told me. What's a bigger Chiddush? To tell me Shlom l'shem Toida is no good? Or Toida l'shem Toida is no good. Obviously, Toida l'shem Toida. But why don't you tell me that? You know why? Because it is good. So that's Rab is now answering you, going back. Right. Says the Gemara. Adatani shlomim l'shem Toida psula, listening Toida l'shem Toida is no good. The kolshkein shlomim l'shem Toida. So l'chayra, this restores Rabbi's raya that a Toida l'shem Toida for another fellow is good. Why? Because you had to, guys, look, you had to jump to case B. Why? Because you couldn't tell me case A, because case A is good. What's case A? Shlamim, Ashtoida, the same Tamim, Ruvain's Toida for Ruvain for Shimon's reason. Because the only case that wasn't good was Shlamim L'Shem Toida, but Toida L'Shem Toida was good. So L'chaya, Rabbi has restored his Raya that a Shlamim of Ruvain L'Shem reason of Shimon works. Okay. And it says, no, you don't have that diak. You know why you had to tell Shlamim L'Shem Toida? Here's the reason. Shlamim L'Shem Toida didach itzterichlei. You need Shlamim L'Shem Toida. The chiddush is you have to tell me Shlamim L'Shem Toida. Salkadai Tramin, I would have thought. Midit Toida Karuya Shlamim, Shlamim Nami Karuya Toida. Just like what? A Toida is called a Shlamim. I would think a Shlamim is called a Toida. And you might think that what? A Shlamim L'Shem Toida does work. So you have to tell me the chiddush. Kamashmon that it doesn't. Really, guys, Toida L'Shem Toida Shimon does not work. So why don't you tell it to me? It's a bigger chiddush. Says no, it's not a big chiddush. I have a chiddush of Shlamim L'Toida. That chiddush is enough that I would think Shlamim L'Shem Toida does work for the individual. Kamashmon it doesn't. But in Achinami, you have no raya that Shlamim of Ruvain L'Shem Toida Shel Ruvain L'Shem Toida Shel Shimon works. You have no raya. But that's the machlokes. Now, we're going to get a bunch of statements of Rava, 6 bullet points of different halachas. They're very dakistic. Okay, so you have 7? Okay, somebody has 7 over here. Okay, I thought 6, but maybe I don't know how to count so well. He's pretty good at math. I'm a Rava.
Who's over here?
What? I have a person who happens to like he comes to my house for coffee in the morning, and we learn a little bit together.
I'm jealous.
What? You think this is only?
I'm jealous. I said.
Are you jealous? Bez Hashem, you can move back to Brooklyn. Not that jealous, right? No, you're jealous. You're not stupid. Says okay now. Amarava chatas sheshachta l'shem chatas. You have to bring a chatas, and it's for eating chalev, and you also have to bring a chatas for dam. For eating dam. The kohen shechs yechatas chalev for dam. What's the halacha? Ksheira. It's kasha. Then it will be kasha. L'shem oila, right? L'shem oila is psula. What does psula mean? Completely. Meaning, guys, this psula doesn't mean it counts. This is the case of the Mishnah, right? The case of the Mishnah was shinui ba'ilma shinui Hashem except chatas and Pesach. So I'm checking a chatas or an oila. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. My timer, what's the reason? It says, V'shachar oisa, this is very important limud. V'shachar oisa lechatas amrachmana, v'hari chatas l'shem chatas nishkata, l'shem oil psula. Good, okay, that's the next case. Okay, so why is a chatas chalev, l'shem chatas dam work? Because you need a shechta for a chatas, and I did. You need a shechta for a chatas, and I did. So there's no shinui, it's no shinui bailim, it's the same guy. And there's no Shini Kodesh. In other words, those are 2 possibilities. It's the same guy, it's a different reason, but it's still a chatas. Therefore, it works. Ksheira completely. He doesn't have to bring another one. L'shem oila psula, that's the din of what? That's the din of our Mishnah. It has to be chatas, has to be l'shem chatas. I saw. Baba's limud. I saw l'shem chatas, not something else. There was a miyah by chatas dafka chatas. V'amarava, chatas sheshachta al mishim v'chuyev chatas. You shecht a chatas for someone else who's mechuyev a chatas psula. Al misha mechuyev oila is ksheira. Okay, this is where we go into it. Okay, so a chatas, you shecht a chatas for someone who needs a chatas, it's possible, but you shecht a chatas for someone who's mechuyev oila is ksheira. My timer, what's the reason? V'chiper olav. It says you should mechaper on him. The chiper alav, you should mechaper on him. V'lo al chaveiroi, and not his friend. Now, guys, what does that mean? Chaveiroi dumya didei. In order to passel, it has to be a friend similar to him. Mechuyev kapara kemoisai. There's mechuyev a kapara like him. So shinui bailim, guys. Shinui bailim by chatas is if the guy is like me. So I'm mechuyev chatas. He's mechuyev chatas, and I'm mishana. What happens if he's not mechuyev like me? Then not. because he's chayv in oila, I'm chayv b'chatas. That's not the shinui bailim that's going to passel. That's not the shinui bailim that's going to passel. Okay, so it's kosher. Now the Gemara is going to ask on this, but right now let's take that to the bank again. Yeshech for samrus chayv b'chatas out. Yeshech for samrus chayv kshera. Kshera means that what? Kshera means that the carbon's not obviously like olu. It doesn't count as a chatas, says the Rambam, but it's a kosher carbon. You can do srika, you can bring the emurim, and the kohen can eat it. Good. Now that's what it means. Okay, guys, very important. The side of the sugya is in order to be out, you have to be on the same level. In order to be out, you have to be on the same level. Dumya didei, it has to be similar to him. Just like Yom Mechuyev this kapara, he's Mechuyev that kapara. For Omar Rava, another bullet point, Chata sheshachta al mi she'ena mechuyev klum. You shechta chatas on someone who's not mechuyev anything, right? Psula. You know why? She'en lecha adam b'Yisrael she'ena mechuyev asay. Because there's no person in Klal Yisrael, that wasn't over on asay, and therefore, okay. So therefore, what? Guys, look at me. This is the whole sugya right here. You're telling me on one hand, a chatas l'shem oila works, right? Chatas l'shem nothing, right? Nothing. There's no such thing as nothing. There's no such thing. Everyone's mechuyev and mitzvah asay. Everyone's over and asay. Good. If you're mevatel asay, what are you mechayev? An oila, right? So you're going to ask the question. So 1 second. You just told me chatas oila works, yeah? Now you tell me chatas nothing doesn't. The nothing really is mechuyev and oila, right? It's an asay, yes? Yeah? So therefore, why do you tell me it doesn't work? On one hand, you tell me chatas oila does work. Now you tell me chatas nothing doesn't work, but nothing is an oila. Because every person's chayiv an oila. And you know what the answer is? If this person would bring a chatas, it would take care of his oila. Guys, if this person would bring a chatas, it would take care of his oila. So it blives the chatas, and that doesn't work. This is the guys. I'll go through it again. It's a lamdish Gemara. Hear this. Let's lum this, guys. Yeah, let's do it. These are the hand signals for the day. You're the third base coach for the New York Mets, so you don't get too many chances for this. You have this. This doesn't work. This is chatas, right? This doesn't work. Chatas oila does work. This doesn't work. Okay, we're going to see in a second. Why doesn't this work? Because it's what? It's this. How do you get to this? He did nothing, right? How do you get to this? And the answer is, every person is this. And if he would have brought this, it would be b'chapa for that. So when it vibes this, and we just said chatas shem chatas doesn't work. I think it's going to show way explaining things. That worked? You got to be quick on your feet over here. There's a lot of pressure. Okay, so let's see it inside. Shmak. Thank you, Hashem. Okay, so now you brought Amishen Mechayev Klum Psula. Shein lecha Adam Yisrael Shein Mechayev Asay. For Amar Rava Chatas Mekaperes Achayev Asay. A Chatas works for an Asay, right, guys? This works for this, right? How do I know it works for this? Mikal v'chaymer. Al chayve krisis mechaperes. Al chayve asay like kol shekain. Right? That if he's chayv karis, achatas takes care of. Certainly, it's going to take care of an asay. It's much less. Good. V'amarava chatas sheshachta al misha mechuyev chatas psula. Al misha mechuyev oila is kshera. There's your problem. 1 second. You're just telling me what? You're just telling me that this works, but you tell me this doesn't work. Why? Because this is this, but it's not this. It's this. How do you get around that? It says the Gemara, "Mekiva loy mechapra." From a kavua, it's not mechaper. Mikufya mechapra, but a kufya it is. What does that mean? Let's see Rashi. Mikufya means the floating. Mikufya, if it's floating, mechapra. Hilkach. Al mishem mechuyev oila kshera. A person's mechuyev oila, it's kasha. Why? Even the hifrish oila, since the person didn't avera, that he went ahead, he didn't put on his tefillin, and he separated a carbon. Shayach kulu asay shebiyadei oila. Any asay that he has is on the oila. So guys, watch. This guy did an avera. He did an oila. He went ahead and separated it. Good. Once he separated it, any oil, any chiyuv of an asay is on this carbon. So you don't have a chatas over here, guys. There's no chatas. Any aveira that he have is on this oila. So once that oil is in the world, it's not a chatas. What's the svara? A chatas for an oila. There is no chatas over here. So it blibes what? It blibes chatas oila. Again, there is no oil. There's no chatas over here. The svara why this works because this is mechapa for this. This is not being mechapa for this because he did it. He took care of all his oil. I say he separated an oila. So once he separated an oila, there's no chatas. Mamela chatas oila works. When doesn't it work? When he didn't separate the oila yet. If he didn't separate the oil yet, it's shayach chatas. If it's shayach chatas, it blibes this and it doesn't work. So let's continue Rashi. It's not shayach chatas anymore. Why? Because the chatas would take care of the oila problem, but he's taking care of the oila problem. He separated an oila. If a guy didn't separate anything, yes. So therefore, he can possibly go ahead and bring a chatas. So it blibes chatas. He didn't separate anything, and he has averis. Shayach chatas gabe. It's shayach from the bring a chatas. The ilu avi mechayev chatas mechaper asay mikufya. If you would have done mechayev chatas, it would have taken care of the asay that was floating. Hilka chayil shmei achatasay. His schal on the chatas shenishchta l'shmoi lepoisla to passel it. So very good shmak, guys. We got it. Okay, what's the teretz? What's the kasha? What's the teretz? Kasha teretz is beautiful. Okay, just quickly going over it again, right? This is no good. This is good. This is no good. The reason this is no good is because this can be mechapa for this. For the Gemara, you have a stira. One hand you tell me that what this is no good. The other hand you tell me that this is good. And the answer is this is if he went ahead and he separated the oila. This is speaking. He separated the oila. Once he separated the oila, it's a chatas oila. There's no chatas over here. It's not shaykh anymore. The chatas was shaykh when he had averis that are floating in the air. There's no averis floating in the air. Why? Because he separated his oila, and that oila is going to take care of those. And therefore, it's not shaykh chatas. If it's not shaykh chatas, guys, it's not this and this. It's this and this. When do we say that what? That this is he didn't separate it yet. Oh, if he didn't separate it yet, it's not this. You don't know why. Because the possibility is he's going to go ahead, bring this to take care of this. If he's going to bring this to take care of this, it blibes this, and that's no good. Baruch Hashem for Zoom. I couldn't exactly say this on, think about it. If you're just going on the audio, it wouldn't exactly work. But I think Baruch Hashem, I think it's very good. Okay, baita. V'amar Rava, says Rava, Oila sheshachta shaloi lishma asa lizru tama shaloi lishma. An oila that you shechted shaloi lishma, it's asa to sprinkle its dam shaloi lishma. In other words, you don't, once you messed up, you don't keep on messing up. That's what we said before. Ibay say mekravi or emesfara. This sounds familiar. We did this already. Ibay say mekra. Maitzis v'secha tishma. Right? We said anything that comes out of your mouth, anything that maitzis v'secha tishma, anything that comes out of your mouth. V'sisa kashem darta l'Hashem lekecha nidava shedi barta. Guys, we said first it's a neder, then it's a nidava. What does that mean? If you bring it as a neder, it's a neder, and if you don't bring it as a neder, it becomes a nidava. And by a nidava, could you possibly switch? Of course not. So mamela, just because you did one wrong doesn't mean you could consistently do other things wrong. Just because you made you switched, you're going to continue to switch. It doesn't make any sense, and therefore that's what is kidaresh pirka. Interesting Gemara, right? Kidaresh pirka, like we said at the beginning of the parak. That's in the parak. V'amarava oyla habola achamisa. Guy dies. His Yoshim bring it. Right? He dies, Yoshim bring it. Shach the B'shine Kodesh. If you shecht it B'shine Kodesh, Psula, it's puzzle, and it doesn't go up at all. So again, the guy dies, it's an oila, you shecht it Shine Kodesh, you shecht it for Shlomim, it doesn't go up. B'shine Bailim, if you shecht it, Yoshim shecht it for somebody else, Kshera. They ain't Bailim Nachamisa, because there's no Shine Bailim, the guy's dead. Pinchas breder of Ami Omar yesh bailam lachamisa chari the yarshim are the bailam. So therefore, it should also be a problematic. Now, what does it mean? Amalei Ravashi, Pinchas. What did you mean? Amalei Ravashi, the Pinchas breder. What did you mean that you said yesh bailam lachamisa? What's meant us? Dafka Amar Mar yesh bailam lachamisa uboy lasui oy lachrita. In other words, yesh bailam lachamisa, and you have to bring another one. The yarshim would have to bring another one. and they're not yotza. They inherit their father's carbon. They go in and bring it. So yesh b'ayim lachamisa, and therefore oila for them and have to bring another one. Dilma the ikka kama asay gabe mechapra, or if they have an assay on them, it's mechapa for them, right? If they amalei dafka, I mean dafka, that they would have to bring another one. Yesh bailim lachamisa, and if there's shinu bailim, you're going to have to go ahead and bring another one. For amarava oila doiran he, an oilan's a present. I spoke this out yesterday, guys. The speaker side, right? What's the difference in a chatas and an oila? You eat chaylev, you're mechuyev to bring a chatas. You don't put on tefillin. You're mevatel on assay, but you're not mechuyev to bring an oila. Why we said, and you bring us a present. So here's the source for it, right? If the guy didn't do tshuva, zevach r'shayim tayeva. The zevach of a Rosh is a tayeva. You don't do tshuva and then you bring a carbon. That's not a gift. That's an abomination. If you did a tshuva, and if you did the tshuva, the hatanya, overall mitzvah say, a person does a mitzvah say v'shav, and he does tshuva, le'zaz misham, and they won't leave there until the Michael. So what do you mean? So Manushach, fellas, if you didn't do tshuva, your carbon is not a present, your carbon is a tayeva. If you did do tshuva, you don't have to bring a carbon. It says clearly, you do tshuva, you don't leave. And now you have, this is all the new man, chatas, almi, mechapra, oilu, lacha, doirin. This is the simon of the sugi we did today. I'm in a rush, go over it yourself. Tanya nami hachi. Rav Shimon, chatas lama. Why does it bring a chatas? You need a kapara. Why do you always bring a chatas before when you have a chatas oila? You always bring the chatas first. Okay, here's a great question. There is one time you don't. Who remembers it? We had it in the Sechta Hariyos. Okay, you probably know the answers, and you're being anavan. So I'll share with you the communal carbon of avodah zarah. We said that chatas is written a chaser. Remember, it's missing the aleph, guys. It's missing the aleph to tell you that the oil comes first. Okay, Bez Hashem next time. Hello, lama ba lifnei oila lepraklit shenichnas. In other words, you soften the guy up. The praklit is like as a shliach, it's like an agent. He goes in, you bring the chait first, and now you can bring the present. So that you have the oil is the present, the chatas is the mechaper. First get the kapara and then bring the present. Okay, the next din in the Mishnah was what? Was a Pesach shaloi bismanoi shaloi lishma does not work. The rest of the year, a Pesach shaloi lishma is a shlamim. A Pesach Bismana doesn't work. So now, just as we went through the whole sugi with the psukim, how do you know Shinu Kodesh, Shinu Bailim, by that works ve'olu, we did the whole sugya. Now we're going to do Pesach, why it doesn't work. Okay, we're going to go through the various psukim by Pesach. That's what we're going to do right now. Says the Gemara, Kutzmi Pesach v'achatas. Pesach minolan. How do you know the Pesach? The Chsiv, Shomer es ha-chodesh ha'aviv, v'asisa Pesach. Now, Asiya is a very geshmak alima, guys. As we saw earlier, Asisa Shlomim. What does Asiya do? It takes care of all four things. Asiya means you got to do it. It takes care of the Shechita, Kabbalah, Alach, and Tzvika, right? Asiya is a great limud because it's going to incorporate all of the avodas because we need limudim in all the avodas. Okay. So now, it says Shomer Sechodesh Aviv Asisa Pesach Sheikol Asiyas of l'Shem Pesach. All the Asiyas, all the doings for l'Shem Pesach. Ashkan Shinu Kodesh. Shinu Bailim Minolon. How do you know Shinu Bailim? So in other words, I have all four for Shinu Kodesh. I have all four for Shinu Kodesh. Shinu Bailim Minolon. Dichsiv va'amartem zevach Pesach hu shete zvicha l'shem Pesach. So now I don't need it for Shinu Kodesh. I don't need it for Shinu Kodesh. I have that already for my Siyah. Why do I use this? What zevach Pesach hu is im ena in l'Shinu Kodesh, which I know from my Siyah. Use it what for Shinu Bailim? No. So now, what do I know, Bemis? And we'll pick up on this later on. All I know is Shinu Bailim of Zvicha. So guys, let's keep count. I got 4 on the Shinu Kodesh. I got Zvicha on the Shinu Bailim. Now, as opposed to the previous Gemaras, where you just needed a limud that you need it, but it alu that it worked. Over here it doesn't work. Over here it doesn't work. So now I need a pasuk to tell me that it doesn't work. So ashchin lemitzvah. I found out it's a mitzvah to do what? To bring all 4 by Shinu Kodesh and 1 by Shinu Bailim. La'akiv minalan. How do you know if you don't do it, that it's out? Right? This is Pesach. How do you know if you don't do it, that what? That it's out. So Amakra, v'zavachta Pesach Lashem Elokecha, tsoinu baka, b'makom asher yifka Hashem Elokecha l'shmai sham. V'zavachta Pesach Elokecha, tsoinu baka. Okay. Now, so therefore, from this pasuk, I know it's ma'akev. Now, if you look at the pasuk, it's interesting. It says you should bring a Pesach, and what from Tsoinu Bakar? Guys, a Pesach's got to be, Kenny will tell you, a Shepshla or the Atzig. Right? It can't be Rinda. It can't be Shafun Rinda. Right? It can't be Shafun Rinda. So, Pascal Rav Safra. Hi v'zavachta lahachi u'da'asa. It's coming to tell me that it's ma'akiv if by the Pesach. Hi mi boyle Rav Nachman. We need v'zavachta Pesach Lashem for Rav Nachman's din. Dam Rav Nachman Amar Rabba Bravua minayin lemoisa Pesach. Guys, you separated a Pesach, it got lost. You bought another one, you found the original. How do you know a leftover Pesach shekar of shlamim that you bring as a shlamim shnemar v'zavachta Pesach Lashem lekecha tzainu baka. It only comes from sheep and goats. What's the only carbon that can be from both tzainu bakar? Shlamim. That's a shlamim. In other words, guys, by shlamim, there's no difference between it's universal. It's anyway. It can be male, female, bakar, tzayin. It doesn't make a difference. So by comparing, guys, the v'zavach Pesach to tzainu bakar, what are you teaching me? That a leftover Pesach is brought as a shlamim. But if I need it for that, I don't have it to be ma'akev, that by Pesach, if you don't do lishma, that it's ma'akev completely, right? I don't have it for that. Since I needed to teach me din that the leftovers for shlamim, I don't have it extra for that. Ella, you're right. So back to the drawing board. How do you know ma'akev? How do you know if you're being a shema it doesn't work? Ella Amrav Safra v'zavachta Pesach l'ch Rav Nachman. Ein achanami. V'zavachta Pesach will be for Rav Nachman's din that an extra Pesach is a shlamim. That would teach me Asiya lemitzvah b'shini kodesh. That shini kodesh, it's a mitzvah lishma all for avodas. V'yamatim zeva Pesach b'shini bailim lemitzvah. But only the zvicha. I keep that in mind. The zvicha zeva Pesach yishech the Pesach. That's also lemitzvah. Who again? It says v'yamata zeva Pesach. Who is la'akiv? Bein hacha by shinu kodesh v'hacha shinu bailim. Okay, so we've covered all bases except one. We don't have 3 on the Shinui Bailim part, guys. Guys, good? Look, you have Shinui, we have Shinui on all 4, Asiya. We have a Zavachta to teach me what? The mitzvah on Shinui Bailim. I have Ma'akev, a pasuk Hula Akev, but it's only on these things. So we need 3 other things. We need Kabbalah, Halacha, and Zrika for Shinui Bailim. Okay, that's what we need. Says the Gemara Vaita. For Ashken Zvicha, that's Ma'akev. Shara Voidus Minalon. B'shinu Bailim. How do you know Shara Voidus B'shinu Bailim? It's Ma'akev. Hoyel v'gali gali. Since you showed me by that it's Ma'akev by Shchita, I assume it's Ma'akevat by the other Voidus as well. In other words, there would not be a svara to say why should you make a chilik. Once you know that they're all in the ballpark of Shinui Bailim and Shinui Kodesh. And now you have one mitzvah, the shinoi, you have for shinoi bailim. So therefore, why would you think otherwise? So we don't say that. How do you know what that by shinoi bailim? How do you know the other 3 avoidus? The chsiv, our famous hekish. Guys, go back to Dalit Amid Beis. We go. This is mamish to Yisai. Where the lines get wide, 3 lines down. We wanted to know all other kabbanis besides shlamim. Says the Gemara, Zois ha-Torah la'oilo le'mincha le'chatas u'la'asham u'l'miluyim u'l'zevach ha-shlamim hekeshin ha-kosav l'shlamim. We make a hekesh to shlamim. Ma shlamim ben shinu kodesh ben shinu bailim being l'shma af kol ben shinu. Okay, so now Notice what doesn't it say in that pasuk? Which carbon doesn't it say there? Pesach. Guys, it doesn't say Pesach, correct? Okay. The next pasuk, fellas, listen. Here's the next pasuk. That was pasuk Chav Lamed Zayin. Here's pasuk Lamed Ches. Asher tziva Hashem es Moshe b'Har Sinai biyom tzavoso es bnei Yisrael lahakriv es karbaneihem. The day HaKadosh Baruch Hu told bnei Yisrael to bring their karbaneihem. Guys, you know what karbaneihem is? Pesach. So karbaneihem is Pesach. The next pasuk, we're going to throw it into the hekish, and once you throw it into the hekish, ein meshivin al hekish, everything's taken care of. That's the bomb. This takes care of a lot of problems, right? So Geshmak says the Gemara. The Tanya, so the Chsiv, Zayis HaTorah la'oilo l'mincha, the Tanya b'yom tzavosu es b'nei Yisrael lahakriv es karbaneihem, zeh b'chor u'mais, what's karbaneihem? Zeh b'chor maisu Pesach. Now, Hekeshin HaKosel v'shlamim, Mash Shlamim ben Shini Kodesh ben Shini L'baylim ben L'mitzvah, Afkol ben Shini Kodesh ben Shini L'mitzvah. Ukishlamim and Mash Shlamim ben Zvicha ben Shar Avodas Loy Chalakta ben L'mitzvah, Af Pesach like Tachlamin ben Zvicha Shar Avodas. Okay, now, La'akev, it's Ma'akev. So now, if that's the case, what do you need the Hu for? What do you, in other words, we had Hu La'akev. V'amata Zevach Pesach Hu. Once you tell me it's a Hekesh to Shlamim, what do you need the Hu for? Says the Gemara, Elahu Lamali, Kiditanya. Nema Pesach Hu, B'shchita La'akev, Aval Osham Le'nema by Hu. By Osham it doesn't say Hu. Elul Acha Karasei Murim. Only after Karasei Murim. V'hu Atzmaish Le'ektur Eimar Kasha. So the Gemara is going to have a machlokes later on, guys, between Rabbi Yeshua and Rabbi Loza. Rabbi Eliezer said that Osham is like a chatas. Just like a chatas is out, Osham is out. And Rabbi Yeshua said, no, it's in. So how do you know not to learn like Rabbi Eliezer? Because it says who. We'll get into this more the next time.